If you dream of your motorcycle, if your day isn't complete without some time in the saddle, if all you need is the open road and a full tank of gas, well, you've come to the right place because this is Throttled, and it's starting now. Here's your host, Kevin McKinney.
Hello, and welcome back to Throttled, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think I got everything going here. We are back with all four hosts here today, and one of them has a new family member. So we got a granddad on the line with us as well. So Larry, man, congrats very much on the new addition to the family. Hope mom and baby are doing well.
They are. They are. Everybody is healthy and happy, and it was a long labor, but it was well worth it. We have a bouncing baby boy, and
did you make it through okay, Larry?
It was tough. It was really tough, Tom. And I needed an epidural in the end, but we got it out, and I am now a grandfather. I can't believe it. I'm too young to be a grandfather, but there you go.
Well, congratulations, my friend.
So thank you. Yeah, it's great.
And congratulations to your son.
Especially.
Yes. Yeah.
Let the spoiling begin, right?
We'll do the spoiling. They'll do the raising. But he did a great job during the labor, and I have no doubt that they're going to be great parents. So that's the news. By the way, weight is 476.
Okay.
No. That's a heavy baby. That is.
Yeah. No, that's not right either.
No, we'll get to that.
I got it. 549.
Okay.
549 exactly.
So that's all pre-show stuff carrying over. We'll get to all that stuff in a second. But Larry, since you got back, I don't know, did you have any time to get out there and ride this last few weeks, or just all consumed in diapers and baby spit?
Well, we were pretty consumed in waiting. We actually went down just when the baby was supposed to be born, thinking, and stayed at a motel thinking that we would be there during and after the birth, but they didn't cooperate. So we came back home, and then the baby was born the next day. So we went back down again. So and that therefore did put something of a damper on my riding. However, I did get out today. Did about a 75-mile ride up through West Marin, where I'm riding these days, until things loosen up around here. And it was a beautiful day. Unfortunately, we need more rain, but it's just the weather's been spectacularly gorgeous, crystal clear, cool, and but warm enough so that I didn't even need any extra layers to ride today. So. A really nice ride. I at one point to the ride, I have to just mention, I was going through San Antonio Road, for those who know about it, and it's farmland out there. And I looked to my right, and I saw cows in a pasture. I looked to my left, saw horses grazing. And then I looked up, and at the top of a hill, it was green hill, blue sky, and there was a white stallion. It was just spectacular. So,
wow, nice.
Yep. What about you guys? Tom, what have you done this week?
I did get out today. I mean, it's been raining and such here in the southeast, but I did get out today. Went with a group for a shortened ride. We planned on doing something a little longer, so we met up in Roswell, Georgia, about 10-ish. Got our act together and left. Our first foray was we were going to head off into the mountains and head over Burnt Mountain, which is kind of in the foothills as you start heading north into the Georgia mountains. It turned into pea soup on the start of the mountain. So let me give you an idea too of temperature. So when we left Roswell, it was about 68 degrees. So day was really nice, overcast. As we started going up into the mountain, it dropped to about 57, 58. And Kevin, if you remember our fog that we went through over the Cherahalla back in October, this was worse.
Is that possible? Because you couldn't see more than like 10 feet in front of you.
It was so thick. At one point, we went by a a cross street where the lines had stopped. And I was second in line. The leader was right in front of me, and he lost his bearings because he couldn't. There were no lines to follow for 50 feet or so, or 60 feet, and you couldn't see beyond that to see where the lines picked up. So we were running about 20 miles an hour, just picking our way for about almost 20 miles to get over the mountain until we got into lower elevations. Did it clear up? So we had to change our route a little bit. Still, it was fun. Put in about let's see, about 150 miles total for the day, so a little shortish. Got some of my favorite roads that are somewhat more closer to my house. So for those that are listening, if you're in Georgia, outside of Canton, Henderson Mountain Road and Salico Road, which are nice, fun twisties. Temperatures on the way home this afternoon, 3 o'clock, got up to 78 degrees in the Atlanta area. So it actually got a little toasty.
Wow.
But it was a fun ride with a good group.
Oh, there we are.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, so unfortunately, no motorcycle riding yet. But I will say we did finally start watching The Long Way Up, which has been a ton of fun, and it's gotten me all pumped for talking about Harley Davidson motorcycles this evening. So I guess it's good timing.
Wait,
yeah,
what? Why are we going to be talking about Harleys?
Oh, I don't know. I just thought I heard something.
But, did something happen?
Because we always talk about Harley.
I don't know. Split Hairs mentioned something. I didn't quite get the sarcasm there. So, yeah. So, but actually, almost all the snow is melted. So, it was raining this whole weekend, but temperatures are up in the 40s. So, I'm keeping an eye on the forecast. I'm hoping to get some riding in next weekend. And actually, it's one of those things too. I don't know. You guys probably run into this occasionally, the adulting thing where, like during the week, it actually had gotten up into the 50s. There was an afternoon where it was nice and sunny, and I'm sitting doing my work, going, I could just get out for a couple hours and ride the motorcycle, but it's like, no, I gotta be responsible and gotta get my work done. So, yeah, I decided to earn the dollars instead. So,
bad choice.
Yeah,
Oh, all righty. Well, that's
Evan,
cool.
how about you?
Well, I actually got out for two smaller, more utilitarian. Just I had to run some errands and had 2 days, actually 3 days this week where the weather was actually very nice. Low to mid 70s. A couple of days got up near 80, similar to you yesterday and today. But you just went out, ran some errands, went and got lunch one day when I had a longer lunch. Yesterday, same thing, ran some errands, but was able to take some choice roads. Did stop off at a Buc-ee's, the Buc-ee's that we've got here in Leeds. I stopped off at that thing for those locals. Finally got in there and did that, and that's a thing for sure. It was very interesting, and yeah, we walked away with some fudge, and I got some ethanol-free gas, so I'm liking that aspect of it. But that's kind of the riding. Nothing really major. Just got out, got some helmet time. But yeah, like you said, the weather got up. We're in our fall spring, or our February March thaw that we always have in the South, and then I'm sure in a few weeks we'll get another blast of cold. And then winter will die. So that's kind of the pattern that we have here in the South. So I'm not putting up all the warm linings and heated gear yet. So I know we're gonna get a few more days of it. But that was, I got hair in my mouth. That was what I did this time. All right. So I will say we do have a little bit of mail, just one thing of mail. And of course, I closed it. So let me pull that up real quick.
Somebody wrote in?
Yeah, we had a little bit of mail come in the other day.
Larry, what did you say wrong?
No, it was actually very positive, and I wanted to read it out there, but I'm having a hard time.
While Kevin is
finding
looking for it, I can mention that I got an email from Ed, the one of our listeners out here, and he described the ride that he did in the East Bay. It sounded like a really gorgeous ride. And once things loosen up around here, we'll be getting together and doing some rides together. So thanks for the heads up.
All
Okay.
right. Well,
To you, Kevin.
I
Here's
have. Oh,
Kevin.
here it is. I got it. All right. So this comes from Brian. He writes a different Brian. He writes in and says, "Hey, Kevin and Larry, Tom, and Chris. I'm writing to let you know how much I enjoy your podcast. I also listen to other motorcycle podcasts and I learn from them, but it's not lost on me that you guys keep it clean with language and content. I really appreciate that and keep it going." So I appreciate Brian writing in those positive, encouraging remarks. And we do try hard to keep this more family oriented. Yeah, word or here or there slips out. And if there are any really bad words, because, there's a scale, we do our best to try to cut those out. But we do try to get it to where if you're listening with your kids in the car and you're trying to share your love and passion of motorcycles with young ones, that they're able to participate as well. All right. All of the other stuff was like, I got so much junk email this week, but it was really like targeted, like it's junk motorcycle related emails. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, I get a lot of that on my Throttled mailbox.
Yeah. All right. So as we were joking around, obviously the big news, the big topic that everybody wants to kind of be talking about is Harley Davidson and the Pan America. Finally, after all this time, a CEO change, a horrible looking idea with the blinkers and the handguards and the seat that looked horrible in the original concept. We have what they're doing. They officially released it. We've got prices. We've got the deets. All right. So let's go through some of that. What was that?
I was going to say, so we have the specs on the bike. No one's actually put their butt on it and ridden it for a review, but so we'll discuss it as what's been released of the specifications, which I think it's fairly well known. I'm not the biggest Harley fan, especially with their cruisers, but I'll put it out there.
Really?
I know. It comes as a complete surprise.
What?
I really hid,
I mean, I don't think
really
anybody on the
that
show would have
well.
picked up on that.
I hide my feelings really well about that. So I'm going to start off by saying, so lay it out there. The looks of this and the looks of it are growing on me, and the specs are great that I think they released on the bike.
Yeah, so we're just going to start top to bottom, okay? And I say top to bottom like we actually have a list of things we're going through top to bottom, just, we don't. So overall, there's two versions of it, okay? We've got the Pan America and we have the Pan America Special. I'm sorry, the Pan America 1250 and the Pan America 1250 Special, because what would Harley be without having multiple versions of the same bike? And so how do they do this? They released a video, had Jason.
No, wait a minute, Kevin.
Okay.
In all fairness, I think most manufacturers offer a basic version of their bikes, and then they offer a gussied up version.
This is true. This is true. I will say though, most of the time, the basic version, it's I'm not cracking Harley on this, okay? But it's very obvious that their basic version is street oriented and the special is the dirt oriented one. That's extremely clear. I also think it's a very smart idea. Could you take the street one and do off-road? Absolutely. But the extra stuff lends itself more.
I don't know if I'd agree with that the special is off-road oriented. I think it's got some nice packages to it. I think for a couple grand more, there's no reason not to get the base. I don't even know if the base is going to show up in the showrooms. You know, it's kind of like the GS. The base model GS is a unicorn. You can't find it. I don't
Well,
even
in
know
the
if
US,
a dealer would let you order it.
yeah, well, but that's the difference. In the U.S., you'll be able to get the base model of the Pan America. I've already spoken to some people I know in Australia, and we were talking, and they've been into contact with their dealership networks, and they've already said that they are only getting the special. They will not be getting the base because you only have so many that you can order. You've got to pay for them, and you know it makes it worth it for them. And that most people are going to want the special over the base model, especially in Australia. So that's all they're getting. I don't know about some of the other foreign markets that Harley is in. I have reached out to people I know within Harley in those areas. I only heard back from the Australian contacts that I have. And I have one, so it's not like I have a ton.
Well, all right, so you teach at a Harley dealership.
I did last year in previous years, yeah.
Are they actually going to get base models in? Because when I looked at the specs, I mean, we'll start at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
Two grand difference. I didn't see the reason why you would even want to go for the base. There's so much more in the special.
I haven't spoken to any of the dealerships around here about this. The one I coached at last year, as of right now, I'm not coaching at any Harley dealerships right now, so haven't really talked to them. I may go by ours here, and some of the people that I know, be like, "Hey, what's going on?" But I have to find time to do that. Let me take a step back, because when you see the pictures, a lot of pictures, and you see the pictures of the base model, and you see the pictures of the special. A lot of the times the special has the spoke, the laced rims, right? And they're tubeless. That's great. Now, please, and I've found conflicting information on this. The special doesn't come with the spoke rims. That's an additional charge to get the spoked rims, but they just put it in a lot of the
500.
The press. They put it in all the press that the special. Now, when I look at laced rims, that's for off-road. Yes, you might like the look better, but functionality wise, that's more off-road oriented, right? And you look back at the cast, well, that they're not. So, and not that you can't take them out of there. It's just, it's a lot harder for you to repair them. It's a more of a bigger deal if something happens to them. That's why a lot of people, when they go off-road, they prefer having the spokes versus, something more solid.
Well, should we talk about the features that the bikes come with first?
Let's do that. And that's where I was going to go. So, and to back up, Jason Momoa, Aquaman, riding around, the CEO riding around in Africa, and the video that they put out was really well done and shot and made. It was Hollywood professional top. I mean, I was very impressed with and I didn't watch the whole video, but the pieces of that video that I did watch, I was like, wow, that looks great. So they did that, and then we started getting the information, and it's overall.
I have a comment about that.
Go ahead.
I think I watched the whole thing, and I thought, as you said, it was well done, professionally done.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the parts that Momoa did were completely superfluous and unnecessary. They, as far as I was concerned, they added nothing to the video, and he spent a lot of time on screen thanking Harley for letting him do this. And it just seemed like something that was tacked on unnecessarily. But the main theme of the video was well done, and Harley was obviously driving home the point that they have an off-road history,
Mm-hmm.
people, and this is not such a departure for them to have an off-road bike. So Harley thinks of this bike as being a solid off-road as well as on-road vehicle. And that's seems to be where the focus, the emphasis in their advertising is.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of tying together. Like, hey, our history, was off road, and they showed a lot of old clips. The World War II time period in there, and then they kind of mentioned moving away from that, and now that they're returning to it, and I thought it was well done. It was great storytelling. I'll agree with you. Has some star power, riding through like a mud pit. Big deal.
But part of they kept emphasizing their history of off road, but they also mentioned that during this period of time, which is the first half of the 20th century, most driving was on dirt roads.
Yeah,
we didn't have a national network of highways, so you were forced to go off road if you wanted to get anywhere. And so I'm not totally impressed with the fact that their early bikes, which didn't seem to be specifically designed for off-road, ended up going off-road a lot because that was the nature of riding in America.
You didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm looking at it compared to some of Harley's other releases that they've done, and I just thought this was one of the better ones that I've seen them put through.
Yeah.
So and just like for Harley, it's what they needed to do, and their marketing. Marketing may not be, but their point there was a good one.
I agree with that, and they also, I think, really wanted to make the point that that Zeitz, the CEO, does ride motorcycles.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. It was funny. All right, so let's start. What do you want to start on the bike? Chris, what do you want to? You've been quiet. Where do you want to start talking about this thing? You want to talk about the versions before we get into the specifics?
No.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, I'm not up to speed on the difference. I was just kind of scrolling through the specs a little bit.
You've been messing with that Jeep too much, man.
Yeah, I know, really. Yeah, speaking of off-road, we could talk Jeep.
Next show will be totally dedicated.
What do ADVs riders ride by when the Jeep gets flipped upside down?
Wait, say that again.
What do ADV riders ride by when Jeeps get turned upside down?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I just was looking at the hard cases that come as an option on here. I was curious if I could figure out what brand they were. I'm guessing those are an option on either, whether it's the base or the
yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
The special. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have any model specific add-ons. If they did, I overlooked it when I was going through all the material.
They do have a variety of cases. You can go from sort of
they've got the hard, the soft
cases, soft cases, and then those aluminum off-road cases.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, they look familiar. Just the stamps on them, the way the big X on the side cases looks familiar. I've seen that before. It is. I'm almost positive.
I like the look of them because there's lots of tie down spots on the top.
Yeah, a lot of tie downs, and honestly, the Harley badging is minimal. I like that too. Yeah. It's very subtle. I agree with you completely, Tom.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right. So we have let's talk about the regular model, right? 1250 engine, same engine in both. Comes in two paints. A black. So yeah, the vivid black in the 1250, and they've got a really subtle thing. Instead of having the bar and shield on it, it's got H with the underline and D. Honestly, I really like the differing logo. How this has got Harley Davidson on it, but it's not got the shield and Harley or it's a badging you don't see on a lot of the other bikes. I really like that that they're doing that. And then the bar and shield, they show up in other areas, but just not there. They also have, now this is honestly out of all their paint schemes, my favorite, the River Rock Gray. I like that. And maybe I'm just kind of in an earth tone place right now. But I really like the River Rock Gray that they have. It's really more of a muted bronze
Yeah.
Would that be a good color? I really, really like it. It for a bike that should be dirty all the time, it fits. You know, vivid black is all nice and shiny, and you got to keep it clean. This is not right.
Yeah.
So, but that's just me. So there's that, right? You have 5 rider modes on both of them. Okay, you get road, sport, rain, off-road, and off-road plus. I like it. I think that's exactly how they should have done it. I would have said that you probably don't need the off-road plus for your first run out into this, but they threw it in there. We don't really know, as Tom mentioned earlier, nobody's actually put a bud on one of these or ridden around and gave us a review of what these modes are like, but just having them available. Box checked. Any disagree? Anybody?
No,
yeah,
no,
no,
I
for
think-
sure. No, it's a good idea. Are they customizable? Do you know, like, can
Yes.
you?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
can go in and you
The,
can.
you have an additional 2 custom modes for the
Yep.
special.
Right.
I don't think the standard, and we're going to call it the standard just for purposes here. The standard has the additional 2 custom modes.
But the other modes may be customizable, is what I'm wondering, because I think that's like a thing Ducati does, right? Like
We don't know.
some of them.
I
Okay.
don't think we know. I think they have the 2 custom modes for the special, the way you can tweak things around, but you don't get that. And I want to say like a lot of the companies do that. Like, you know, if you just get the base model, you get what they give you. Then if you get the certain package, performance package or whatever, they let you tweak it and mess around with it and all that stuff.
Right. Yep.
So,
Yep.
you know, let's say you have a 6.8 TFT display. Obviously, we know what that is. And it does, I think, connect with the Harley Davidson app.
Yeah, so it's got full connectivity, just like the BMW and the Ducati. I've looked at pics of it. I like it. It gives a lot of information.
Yeah.
Much
I wonder how
more than the
customized. That's what
GS
I
does.
was looking at. I was like, I wonder how customizable this is, because part of my problem that I have with a lot of these things is it would be really easy for you to have areas and for you to touch an area and a menu pop up and say, I want this there. And then you touch an area and I want this there and I want this and I want to change.
Yeah.
It would actually be very easy for these programmers to do that. Right, because it's all digital, it's all dynamic, and it's all like you should be able to come up with like, hey, do you want this look or do you want 3 or 4 others? And maybe that comes down the road after they've been out for a while. But that's something I'm going to start expecting to see from all of these manufacturers with these very large TFT displays. Let me put what I want to up there in the way I want to see it. If I just want to see numbers, let me just see numbers. If I want to see a sliding little thing that goes back and forth and looks all pretty, let me see that. But that's a completely different topic.
One departure on their TFT from any of the other manufacturers is their TFT is you've got a control on the handlebar, but it's also touch activated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different from Multistrada and the BMW. They don't have the touch. Now, Harley does disable that while you are moving. So you can't use your touch screen on the bike while you're moving. They disable it. You can control it via whatever. They've got a handlebar toggle. But that's different. That's unique.
I would have loved to see them, because I always wondered like if mud or a leaf or something like that would engage on one, like even on your phone. I wonder, I was like, what if you get this like muddy with that? Anyway, but I will agree with you, Tom. From what I have seen, impressed with the visuals of the display. I think they're well done. What they show is the alert, like, hey, you've got an incoming call. It gets in the way of nothing you need to see, right? You still see your tack. You still see your speed. You temporarily, I think, lose your trip stuff there. So, it's very well done.
I'm going to critique them in one thing, though, and this is the same with Multistrada and the Ducati and BMW's GS, is that these are all Bluetooth connectivity. And, come on, guys, do Apple AirPlay, do the Android connectivity. It's time. Stop playing with the Bluetooth in your customized apps and different navigation applications.
Don't know if I'd agree with you there. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
I'll say this. I agree. I'm an
Fight
Android
for a
user. I'm an Android user, right? And Android Auto
Android,
still has
Yeah,
some
how does that-
issues.
all right. See, Apple AirPlay works great. You plug your phone in, you have full control over your phone. It's,
Well, you got to plug it in.
So-
That's what they're trying to get
You
to.
do-
Now,
you
you
do have
can
to
do it
plug it in.
wirelessly over Bluetooth. So it's still a Bluetooth connection. You're just paying to implement Apple's crap, and you're paying to implement Google's stuff. So that's double the work. I agree with you. It would be a nice to have, but they'll get there. Hopefully they'll get there, because I want that in my vehicles, in my truck. I want that in mine, and I know my wife would like to have that in hers more than she does. But there are some that do it where it's over Bluetooth, and it's you just get in your car and go, and it automatically does everything. That's wonderful.
And I might be jaded because the GS, I think their connectivity is horrendous. That's the one
It is.
thing. So, I don't even connect my phone to it anymore, and I've gotten the update. So if Harley does it, great. I haven't really heard too much on the Ducati yet, but if they can do it with Bluetooth, great. But go the Honda route. Do Apple AirPlay. It works.
Yeah.
And
I think until that price
connection.
comes down to do that, you're not going to see it in motorcycles, because you barely see it in cars. And I'm talking about the wireless option, not the connected option.
The Goldwing has it. Goldwing has AirPlay.
Okay, so
right, well,
and obviously, I mean,
one critique.
But I mean,
I
that's,
am an Apple fanboy. I'll
Yeah.
that,
Well, Split Hair says that they don't do it because of the cost of licensing.
yeah,
spend the bloody money. It's the connectivity works.
So, so one of the things we haven't really mentioned, but I think that's very important, is that both models get the cornering IMU. And
what is the cornering IMU there, Larry?
well, it's the you get cornering ABS. You get cornering traction control. Essentially it offers all of the assists that we used to get on our bikes when we would be doing things on the straight, and now you can apply all these things even when you're cornering. So you get basically a computer controlled assists for your braking and your traction control when you're cornering, and both versions get those features.
Another thing that they have is so we have the light bar, and I don't know if this is on both models or just one.
No, it's just on the special.
Just on the special. So you have your normal the big LED light up front, right? On the special, right at the bottom of where the windshield and like a little fairing is, there's a light bar, and the light bar is a angle sensitive corner kind of peering. So it's got like 5 or 6, I can't remember, individual LEDs in there, right? Mm-hmm. And so as you lean the bike, that light will move, and I want to say the angles of those LEDs, they're more like spotlights, spot LEDs. And they show in those angles. So as you're going through a corner, it's shining through the corner a lot. And then as you stand it back up, it comes back. I think this is very interesting because that's a simple solution to when you look at what BMW did on the recent 2021 updates of the GS, is their headlight actually physically moves. And a lot of people were hesitant because they're like, hey, that's a great thing. But, if I drop this really hard and it takes a bad tumble, everybody expects that mechanism to break, and because it's connected to your headlight, does that mean that my light's going to not work right, or I'm going to be pointed in the wrong direction when I'm trying to ride home after a bad, off or something? So I actually think Harley came out with what seems to be on the surface to me a better implementation of that. That's not as fancy. It gets it done, and you get a little Knight Rider effect.
Yeah, what do you say to that, Tom? Huh?
Well, I didn't really look at that piece of it. I mean, the cornering light that BMW has, it's been on the 1600 for years, so there's been no issue that I've read about on that. But off-roading, it'll be interesting whether it can handle the impacts.
And we just won't know until a year from now, because people are just now getting their 2021s and getting out there and really using them on the BMW side. But we're not talking about them. So we've got so the base Pan Am has a fully adjustable 47 millimeter fork and preload adjustable RSU. They have, let's see here. I got off my notes. Yeah. So, we were talking about the paint earlier. The, black is the base price. We'll get to that in a second. $250 more for the River Rock Gray. It's worth it. All right, so for the special, additional $2,700, 25 pounds of weight. According to the Revzilla article.
So we should mention the bike comes in at what, 530 something?
Yeah, I was going to get all that to the end, kind of wrap that up, because I had a site that had both of those laid out side by side,
right.
To it'd be easier to kind of compare. But the special aimed at the premium ADV market. You have a semi-active front and rear suspension, what they're calling the Vehicle Load Control VLC system. So this is using sensors that is automatically adapting the bike's dampening. And so as you're riding, it's making adjustments on the fly and calculating the changes and what your dampening should be at and everything, which I think is pretty cool. And then it's got a optimal sag to where, when you stop, when you come to a stop, if you know that you need it to be so low, it'll lower itself down so you can put your feet down. Right. So as you're slowing down, the bike gets lower to the ground.
Now that's the unique feature to it.
Yeah.
The other features, the electronics, all right, BMW and Ducati have had those.
Yeah. And that is the adaptive ride height I just spoke about. That is $1,000.
Yeah. And that's an additional $1,000 beyond the special.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really neat. It's supposedly as soon as you come to that stop, the bike drops down 1.5 inches or
right.
so, something.
Whatever I think you set it to be, up to 1.5 inches, right?
Yeah.
So you have a range. You have a range. What, about 1.5 inches normally on the bike, and then in addition, you can lower.
For those that are vertically challenged, it allows them to stop and get their feet down.
Right.
I don't consider myself vertically challenged, but and I resent the implication. But this actually makes me hopeful that I could ride this bike.
So, all right. And you got TPMS. Okay. So, and here's where I get really. All right. So they're throwing on brush cards in the special. Cool. Skid plate in the special. Cool. Again, two things that are more geared to off-road versus the other. Adjustable brake pedal. Heated grips. Well, that's just you're paying extra for it. You get the heated grips. Wind deflectors. A center stand. For the love of everything, you don't get a center stand on the base model on this huge, tall bike. Are you kidding me?
And it's a chain drive. To sell a chain drive bike without a center stand is ridiculous.
It would be different. It would be different if it was a 250, y'all. This is a 1250 bike weighing over 500 pounds. Put a freaking center stand on it. Even if you're not taking it off road, you want the center stand. It doesn't weigh that much.
It'll be a
sure,
dealer
sure
add-on,
it's an
add-on
option.
for that
I'm sure
extra
it's an
250.
Yeah,
Right,
but
they gotta
it's
put-
the fact that it doesn't come stock. That's out of everything. That's the thing that I'm just like, really, you were so close. You were so close. You've done so many things right. So close.
Well,
But
yeah,
and I'm
I
not
agree.
saying that I'm like, oh, boo, boo, boo. This ruins the whole thing. But I'm just like, there is the Harley being Harley, and that's what everybody really worried about when it came to this bike. Is Harley going to be Harley with this when it comes to the pricing? No, I don't think they did. When it comes to some of the decisions that they made on the bike, 95% of them, no, I don't think they did. This one, they absolutely did. So
Well, I think there are a lot of bikes that, in Harley's defense, there are a lot of bikes that where the center stand is optional, and and if you're going to spend even 18,000 for a bike, an additional 250 for a center stand is a pittance.
yeah, that's just adding up. All right, so for the special, $19,999, so we'll say 20 grand for the Vivid Black. The Gauntlet Gray Metal is an extra 250. And that one, it's just well, I lost the picture of it. It's just kind of a grade version of it, I guess. And then you've got the special. I scroll around too much. There it is. The two-tone Baja Orange and Stonewashed White Pearl. This is probably the one that you've seen the most of, where the front, where the front fairing, the small little fairing up front where the headlight is like pearl white. The tank is the orange with the bar and shield kind of in a darker, I don't know what kind of style that is, but a darker outline of orange in it, subtly put in there. So that's the bike that is that one. It's 2349. 2349, right? Would be for the stone washed white pearl and the Baja Orange. So, I will say, let's go over some other stats. So the base price for the base one, $17,319. That's about what a base BMW is, right? Just a base BMW GS, not the GSA, which everybody always compares this to the GSA for some reason. This should be compared to the GS, and we'll get to that in just a second. And then you're getting up to about 20 grand for the special. So if you take the performance package of a BMW, I want to say you're about 21, because you can walk out of the door with the BMW, I think at about 23. Am I right,
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, it's a little. The premium package adds about $5,000 to it. It's really about 22 to 23.
Yeah. Well, and I think the
there's
base
some
BMW is
things
actually
on it.
16 something.
Yeah, but that's like we said.
We don't get that in US.
There's a couple of things it's about. The BMW is about $3,000 more. A couple of things that you get on the Beamer that you don't get on the Harley. The new Beamers now have heated seats besides heated grips. You do get a shaft drive instead of a chain. Some, like me, think that's a big positive. So couple things there, and then let's look at the other one, the Ducati Multistrada V4. Even higher, I think, with their premium package is going for about 25,000.
Right.
Yeah.
And my prices may be off because I don't know if I looked them up after the 2021s came out. So I'm probably quoting 2020 prices. So,
and I think that's the biggest surprise of this of all. I mean, after what they did with the live wire, I think we were all thinking this thing was going to be high 20s to low 30s when it hit the street.
No, I was pretty sure that they would be within $1,000 of BMW, because they're KTM and Ducati are not who they're going after. They're not who. What they're trying to do is they're trying to keep the Harley riders in Harley, and a lot of the Harley riders were leaving Harley and going to BMW and getting adventure bikes and just keeping them on the street. They never take them off road. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. We all get the jokes. I love the individuals, not naming any names, but that send me the Starbucks reminders with their motorcycles in front of them. I love it. It's awesome, and you guys are awesome. I will take the ribbon gladly, but it's a thing, and Harley targeted that, and they said we are going to put out a bike that has. And here's what I'm impressed with. When they came out in their original thing, okay, we'll get what I'm about to say. We'll get to in just a second. So price $17,319, $19,999 for the special. Engine 1252 cc, 60 degree liquid cooled 4-valve V twin. It's the Revolution Max. Whoa, what was it called?
I think that's right.
Revolution Max. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris is being our fact checker today. He's like, you guys are talking about this ADV stuff. I don't care.
I think the big kicker on that engine that surprised everybody. I mean, you'll get to the specs as far as horsepower and torque, but it is hydraulic valves. You do not need a valve adjustment on this. That's, with Ducati coming out on the Multistrada V4 with a 37,000 mile valve check, and now Harley coming out with no valve checks at all. That's a great direction. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, BMW in your 15,000 mile check.
12 to check the valves. Now it's dead simple on the Beamer because the cans are sitting right out there. It's fairly easy.
It just costs $3,000 to get it done at a shop. Because it costs charge like $200 an hour. Anyway, so yeah, and we're gonna get into a little bit more of the engine specs and stuff like that because I want to commend Harley again, pat him on the back. Well done. You came out and I don't remember what you said your horsepower would be. You beat it. They beat, because normally this bike is going to come out with blah number of horsepower, and everybody goes, yeah, right. And guess what? It's usually, yeah, right. We were 20 horsepower short, but we still got X, right? Because it was all whatever. They actually beat it. They beat their estimate. I want to say by like 4 or 5. They're claiming 150 at 9,000 RPM right now.
Let's put a caveat there. This is claimed horsepower. We have yet to see one of the reviewers throw it on a dyno.
Yeah, and okay, and that is something to say. That is probably claimed. The engine just running, just right there.
We're comparing these claimed figures to the claimed figures of other manufacturers.
Well, the KTMs and the BMWs are pretty. They've been vetted, I guess, like on a dyno. Right. Like their numbers have been updated. Like if you go look at a stat site, it's different than what BMW says because they've been vetted.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So the numbers may be higher if and when they're actually tested, but you can only compare claimed figures to claimed figures. Agreed.
At
this point.
So that is actually technically higher than the BMW. Claimed torque 94 foot-pounds. That's lower than the BMW. And all the BMW people are going to be like, well, and in adventure riding, torque is more important than horsepower. Guess what, guys? You got enough of both in both of these bikes where it doesn't really make a difference. It really doesn't matter at this level. You're about the same on the weight. You're close enough. But we've already talked about all the suspension stuff. Front brakes, Brembo brakes. Harley, I think, is going back to Brembo after their failed experiment with their own named rebranding of.
You mean BMW?
BMW, yeah. They're going back to Brembo, I think, after their own experiment. So Harley, I think, saw the mistake that they went with the Nolan brake calipers and the crap that not just BMW, they're the big ones that really realized it, but other manufacturers that have used them have had as well. 62.2 inches. Where are the tires? Tires, you've got a 120/70/19 front and a 17 rear, so a 19/17, which is what you'd expect.
But that's significant. Hold on, you passed over as far as the wheelbase on that. That's fairly significant because it's 3 inches longer than the BMW. I think 2 inches longer than the Ducati.
Yes.
Of the big adventure bikes, it is the longest wheelbase out of any of them, including KTM.
And I'm interested to see if that makes a difference to people.
Should make it more stable, should have a better highway ride than perhaps the others, the BMW. Have to see maneuverability, how it is.
Yeah, I'm interested to see there. Okay, so here's where the stats that Harley puts out get a little, in my mind, Harley being Harley. Seat height, 31.8 inches, loaded down. So that's a laden thing. So they put a 180-pound rider on it, and then they measure the seat, 31.8 inches. What we don't know is what model of bike is this on. Is this with the adaptive seat height stuff, adjustable height stuff cranked down? We don't know. So that number honestly is useless and worthless. Right.
They could have put a 400-pound rider on, and then it would have been 28 inches.
Yeah. And so I mean, because we don't know what the real seat height is when you're throwing the leg over for a standard Pan America. We have no idea what that seat height is. If any of you are in a showroom and decide to pull out your tape measure, let me know.
Well, they do say that the seat height can be adjusted from a high position of 35.2 inches to a low position of 34.2 inches. So the seat height, I would say, that's a more realistic seat height for the bike.
So 34.2 inches. So
34.2 to 35.
Yeah, and then you get 1.5 inches from the adjustability thing. Then you get whatever's left from somebody sitting on it.
Right.
So,
it probably does go,
Harley being Harley, right there. Wet weight for the base model, 534. So that would mean for the special, it's 559, right? 25 pounds. Correct. 2-year warranty on this. I think that's actually a awesome warranty there. So overall, what do you guys think? And I want to hear from Chris, because I know Chris isn't an ADV rider and he's been sitting there bored out of his mind. So I want to make him be engaged.
Did you guys see me yawning? Oh man, I was trying to hide that. Yes, so you are correct. ADV bikes are not my forte. It's not something I really follow or I'm that knowledgeable about. That said, so I can't, any opinion I have about them, I don't think is too valuable. But what I would say is, and I've said this about other, segments of bikes, to me, the more competition, the better. It just pushes innovation. The fact that Harley has pulled this off, and hopefully for them it's successful. And, it helps change the image of Harley, because I tend to think of Harley as they make cruisers, they make baggers and cruisers. That's Harley, right? You look at, the bike like this, and then what's going on with the Livewire, which seemingly is successful, at least as a motorcycle. People like it. The reviews are good. I think that sets up Harley, they're in a good position to be a more general motorcycle company, right? So that's definitely a good thing. I've said I'd pretty much try any motorcycle. So if there's an opportunity to test ride either of these, yeah, I'm up for it. Not a problem. But yeah, so, and we'll see, it remains to be seen, right now, I'm road rider, track guy kind of thing. At some point, I don't know, maybe try adventure riding or something. So be curious when I get there, which direction do I go with all the choices that are out there?
All right, Larry, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think this is a very interesting development. If you first of all, I think that the bike has surprised people in terms of how competitive it seems to be. Everybody was predicting that it was going to be expensive and heavy, and not very powerful. And so far, just going by the stats, it seems like it's right in there in the mix, and a competitive bike in terms of its features. But to me, even more importantly, if you look at the video, how they talk about, and this is Zeitz talking about the fact that this is a new direction. This is a new direction for Harley. They want to take care of their traditional customers, but they are recognizing they need to attract a new brand of customer to their bikes, and this is the first of a series of bikes. He makes this point of a series of bikes that they're going to be producing that will appeal to different customers. He kind of cautions the old timers not to panic. They'll take care of them, but they are moving towards a different kind of customer. And at the end of the video, I think it was towards the end, they showed a picture of a cruiser version using the same engine, and they said this is coming out. This is coming. So they're coming with a cruiser version, a cruiser bike that has this engine in it, and that may very well be the replacement for the Sportster. So they're very serious about this. This is not just a dalliance. I think that they're banking a lot on this bike and the successive bikes that come from this engine to help Harley attract the riders that we've all been talking about, the younger, newer riders.
And I'm curious if they keep or replace the Sportster branding. If they just say, "Hey, these are the new Sportsters, and it's got this engine in it." Now, Tom, thank you, Larry. Tom, what are your thoughts?
I'm intrigued by this. I mean, the specs are much better than I thought. The looks are growing on me from when they originally released it. So I want to see some reviews of people riding it, and I want to go do a test ride on this. This is supposed to show up in dealer showrooms. I think May is what I heard.
I think that's, yeah.
So I do want to try the Multistrada V4 as well, and kind of do a comparison. Don't really have any interest in the KTM. I've ridden them. I don't like the looks of them, but those are my three that I'd love to see how this is. I want to see in a V-twin like this, where's the center of gravity on this? That's the one forte that the GS has over any of the other adventure bikes. The center of gravity with that boxer engine is so low, and it's easily maneuverable. And the amount of torque on it is available at such a low RPM, you could basically pull out of anywhere. Is it the riding characteristics going to be the same? That's what I would like to see on it. And is what's the ergonomics, the seat position? What's that triangle? I don't care about seat height, but is there enough room and space between the seat and the pegs and the handlebars? So that's what I'm curious about.
Yep. I'm expecting the weight characteristics to be very similar to the Super Tenere, where it's just higher, similar to KTM 1290.
I've ridden. Harley does have experience in making the center of gravity low. Even in their big baggers, the center of gravity feels pretty low on the bikes. I mean, you don't play around with it too much, but in comparison to some of the other big displacement bikes that I've ridden, the Harleys do tend to pay attention to that issue. So I would expect that on this bike, you'll find that it is pretty maneuverable even at slow speeds.
And I think the Harley, the engine is a stress member, so
right.
that should help do that. All right,
so
go ahead.
So what do you think? So two questions I got on this is that, one, you guys have more experience with Harley and their sales than I do. I don't even step in the showrooms or haven't in a while. Is will the dealers embrace it? Will they know how to sell this bike? Will they sell a bike that doesn't have chrome on it? And then two is do you think this will? I can't see people, because I've been on the BMW boards this week, and even the ADV rider boards talking about this. You're going to be hard pressed to pull people from Ducati and BMW, but do you think this will be successful? Kevin, I think you laid it out as far as keeping people from leaving Harley for one of the other brands.
Yeah, so my take on that is I think it'll be successful in Harley people staying Harley people, right? You'll have a lot fewer converts over. It's Harley. It's an adventure bike that's made in America. Hoorah. And so that's what a lot of Harley riders are doing. A lot of them like the ergonomics. You're going to be able to get that seat down lower than the others with all this extra stuff you could do. And I'm sure somebody will figure out a way to lower it even more. To where they'll be able to be able to get on it, for those of us that may not be able to.
Yeah. Again, though, I'm gonna throw that as to, for the BMW, you can get it low. You can get a lowered version, and you can get a low seat I think you can bring that seat down to about 28, 29 inches by the time you do that with the. So, for those, again, sorry, Larry, the vertically challenged, it's available there. I'm not so sure about the Ducati. I think 31 is about the lowest that one's available.
But so to get back to your question, I think you're not going to pull BMW riders from a BMW to this, most likely. Will it happen? Of course, there's going to be a few of them. But BMW riders traditionally are just about as fanatic as Harley riders are about. I only ride Beamers. So they do have that reputation, just like Harley riders do. But I think the riders that are interested in ADV and they're going to look at the Ducati, they're going to look at the Triumph, they're going to look at all of the others that are out there, given the specs that Harley has given us, pending the reviews. You, I think, have to take Harley seriously in this. Now, your other question about will the dealers support it? Well, that's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? We have no idea. I think I can think of 2 dealerships that would support it because the general managers have BMWs. They just don't ride them to work. But they go out and they adventure ride on BMWs, and I think they're going to support it. And I think they are going to make sure that their salespeople support it as well, right? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think that Harley Zeitz has made clear that Harley needs to strike out in a different direction. People who come into the showroom to look at this bike, I don't think they're going to be candidates to join the Hog Club. I think Harley's going to have a different orientation for riders of their new bikes, and it doesn't include a lot of skull and crossbones stuff. This is going to be a different approach, and I think they're very serious about this. And I would be very surprised if the dealers aren't schooled in how to embrace these new models that are coming out and the new clientele that'll be coming into their showrooms.
Well, with the dealers being independent, I don't know how much. I mean, it's going to be looked at as corporate sales stuff, and you have to hire the right salespeople, and that all comes from the sales manager and the GM.
And why I ask that question? Because their track record is not very good. No. I mean, great. The Live Wire, the Street, back in the Buell days, they have not been able to
the V-Rod
get the V-Rod, their own bike, which was probably the best engine they ever made, or was made for them. That's why I asked the question, because they don't have a good track record of selling something other than a big honking V-twin bagger.
Yeah, and
I agree with everything you guys are saying. We don't know. We don't know. And honestly, I think here's what's going to change it. If they have people coming in and they're selling and people are asking, and they're always having to order these bikes, they're going to get more like, hey, people are wanting these. You know, the GMs and stuff like that are going to make sure that they're investing in it, right? So if they got after the initial wave, after the initial like, oh, I want one of these, after all that ends, and now we have people that new to the market, they're looking at their first adventure bike, and they're considering this. You know, when those people start asking for it and ordering it, then we've got something we need to talk about. You know, and that's when I think you would see the dealership start jumping on board. But it's going to take getting there. Initially, I have a feeling they're going to be resistant. Even though the bike will probably be displayed right in front of the door. You know, it'll be hard to find the one salesperson who can talk about it. You know? So that's where Harley did a great job. They've put out a great bike, and it has a lot of people in the ADV world intrigued and curious and wanting to throw a leg over it and see what it can do and get it in the dirt. Kudos to them. Pat them on the back. Way to go, Harley. After all the grief that I personally have been giving you over all this stuff, Zeitz has, I have to, the 2 thumbs up. Here's the harder part. Getting your dealership network to carry it the right way and promote it the right way. And not just be a salesman, but be an ambassador for the bike and the style of riding the bike represents. Getting the gear in, the Harley branded ADV suit, the Harley branded Bell, helmet, the Harley branded CD boots, whatever, right? Getting your gear in, creating an ADV section in the store. And here's the thing, follow it up with an announcement that, hey, we're not done in this segment yet. Our next bike is going to be a mid-range version of this bike. It'll be at 850 cc's, and you can expect it in 2 years. Now people are going to take you serious, because not only you just got the one bike out there, you're going for the middle ADV market, which guess what is really where you're going to make your money. That's where the most of the ADV bikes are being sold right now, is in the mid-range. Start shifting and looking at that. So that's just my soapbox on that. And my thoughts on, I think they've done a good job. I think the specs of the bike are exactly where they need to be. Their price came in exactly where they need to be. I feel like this was a course correction from what the Livewire release was. Much better, much better. So, any closing thoughts before we wrap up the show, guys?
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to look forward to May when these come into the showroom and Harley does some demo days.
Well, me too. I think in the chat room they're talking about the apparent long span from the seat to the back of the bike, and without apparent much support, and whether or not that would be a potential issue for, especially loading on bags and gear and stuff on the back.
KT has been getting away with it for years.
Yeah. Well, my feeling is that the engineers would have taken that into consideration, hopefully, and they won't have to be doing recalls for broken subframes. Yeah. So
now that you mention that, it's one thing that I did not see in the specs, unless I missed it. What's the carrying capacity of this bike?
Oh, I saw that.
The BMW is about 5 1/4 or so. Did anybody see that?
Let's see.
So what can you load this bike up with? Is it a pack mule?
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't see it in the specs.
Because that would answer
that question.
The questions in the chat room about how it's engineered and what it's rated to carry.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that right available.
Yeah, I'm actually on Harley's site. I don't see it mentioned.
Because that is a big thing in the adventure segment, loading your bike down with as much stuff, that'll be nice, as possible.
Yeah, over the bearing, usually it's over the weight capacity of the tires. So it's like, really, after you put yourself on there, you don't have much room on most of these bikes. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap up, and I'm sure we'll have more discussions and questions about this in the future.
Nah.
Yeah, but we want to give a big shout out to all of our patrons. You guys are awesome, as always. We always say that. Wouldn't be here without you. Thank you so much for continuing to support the show. If you are interested in helping the show keep the lights on, venture out and bring different types of content or whatever, feel free to contribute. Throttledpodcast.com. Go to the Patreon link there and you can sign up, or patreon.com/throttled. We would appreciate any kind of donation and support you can get. We do broadcast this show live on YouTube every Sunday night at 7:30. This is going to be a great way for you to watch these episodes if you just want it in the background on your computer or something like that. If you want to join us, we'd love to have you live, but it's out there in our area. So if you go to our Facebook page, which is Throttled Podcast, you can see all the links where we do the shows and put them out there, and the YouTube links, and that'll take you to them. And from there, you can subscribe. You can click the notification icon, so when we do go live, you get alerted, and you can join in. We love having new people join us, and if not, you know it's out there. You can watch it later, and it'll show up in your subscriptions on YouTube. So we'd love for you to consume it that way as well. We're on Twitter at Throttle Show. We also put all these notifications out there on Twitter when we're going live. So you can, if you're a Twitter or Facebook person, then you got that as well. Instagram, Throttle Show. If we go on trips or whatnot, we go to some kind of bike related activity, we'll throw some pictures out on that as well. Earlier, you heard somebody throw out a compliment to the show. So if you've got a compliment, a critique, we've recently kind of changed the format a little bit. If you want to comment on that, feel free to. Feedback at throttledpodcast.com, or go to the website, throttledpodcast.com. Click on that contact form. We get that in the same mailbox. So that is the spiel. Let's see. Larry, you want to sign off first for tonight, Granddad?
Yeah, sure.
Grandpa.
Well,
yeah, Old Man Lawrence.
There's the new nickname.
Old Man Lanes. That's what
I'm still getting used to that. Let me tell you. So, yeah. Listen, I this has been really interesting. I think it's what's happening with Harley. Of course, is news, but it's also kind of exciting to see kind of new directions for an old, storied name, and it shows how interesting the motorcycling world is and remains and will be, and I remain fascinated by it. So in addition to reading and thinking about it, I also like to ride every now and then, and encourage everybody else to do the same or even more, and make sure when you do that you ride safe and you ride your own ride. Chris, what do you have to say?
You mean we're actually supposed to ride these things, not just look at them and talk about them?
Well, I mean, that's what we do, because we don't have Jeeps that we waste all our time on.
Well, that's the thing. Now I just look at the Jeep. But yeah, no, it was a great show. I think it was a great topic. Haven't been much of a Harley person, but it's always good to have an opportunity, to learn about something new. And adventure bikes are not an area I'm particularly familiar with, so it was really good for that. Yeah, Tom, you're gonna comment?
Well, I was going to say, once you start taking your Jeep off-road this spring and this summer, all of a sudden you're going to get like, wow, why can't I want to now bring a bike on these same roads.
Exactly. I mean, I think I mentioned on previous shows a while ago, like Gina's already got the itch. Like she wants to, we did the dirt bike thing, right? The beginner, riding dirt bikes in a grass field. She's already got like she's looking at what is she looking at? Himalaya, the
Oh,
Royal,
yeah,
Royal
yeah.
Enfield Himalaya.
Royal Enfield,
So
nice.
she's already warned me that we need to make space in the garage for a second bike for her. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be looking for a trailer that has off-road capabilities. So
Well, but you can't let her go riding in the woods by herself. That's unsafe. You need to get one too.
I absolutely agree with you. That would be the chivalrous thing to do.
Yeah.
So well, maybe
He'll follow
I mean-
behind her in the Jeep.
maybe a Harley would be the way to do it. But anyway,
Well,
yeah.
there
So
you go.
I think it was a great topic, great show. Thanks for everyone who's tuning in and listening. Once again, it was good. I think we had a lot of banter going back and forth in the chat, so that's always cool. And yeah, looking forward to the next topic we discuss.
Tom.
All right, good discussion. This was enjoyable. So yeah, exciting things happening. Two big new adventure bikes coming out onto the market. So kind of intrigued to see what the spring will be to do some test riding and report back here as to how these things actually ride. Will they get me off my GS? Don't know. That's remains to be seen.
Determined.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that goes. Not sure if I'll stay in the adventure bike market as in the future, but right now I'm fully on board with my GS. But everybody have a good week. Remember, your bike is transportation, not just a toy.
So here's actually a question before you wrap it up, Kevin. So how long do you think it's going to be before they start planning production of Long Way Sideways? Where they take the new Pan America or whatever.
Yeah,
east to
I'm
west
pretty
around the
sure.
globe
I'm
or
pretty
something.
sure. Unfortunately, that series is done.
You think so?
I think that one Charlie is just
Yeah.
my heart break for. I mean, just just watching him at some point, just what they put on the show, and they didn't put the worst stuff on the show. My heart breaks for him. And everything that he's going through. So I really doubt they do anything like that again. Plus, they've kind of covered everything. The only thing I know that they could do is do, Long Way Down Under. They've hit everything else pretty much except for China and Australia. They could do like India and the Himalayas, right? I don't think they did that before. But that would be not as it's as impressive, but not as big, but just mileage wise. So, who knows? And maybe they go Long Way Around Part 2 and they just take a different route. I don't know. But they've kind of covered a lot of it. But as far as this goes, thank you everybody for listening and for tuning in. Yeah, and the Harley thing, I kind of gave my wrap up that earlier. I want to ride one. I want to see what it's like, and I hope that they end up being a major player. I really do. So everybody out there, thank you for listening. Get out there and ride when the weather allows. Ride safe, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, guys. And everybody in the live stream.
Everybody.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. You guys are awesome as always. Lots of comments. We're gonna go ahead and close down the stream. We'll see you all next week. Remember 21st, 28th, there won't be shows. I'll confirm those dates. That's just me flying from the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So, the Sundays around those days, we won't be having shows for 2 weeks. So we'll see you all next week. Be safe. Have fun. Talk to you later.